Hey there friends, it's Dan J. Gregory here, and in today's video we're going to be talking about 7 often overlooked characteristics of successful salespeople. And yesterday I talked about the inner game of success, and that 80% of success is from the psychology and the 20% other is from the mechanics or the tactical side. And it reminded me of a time I was in my financial services career, where I was giving a presentation to a group of leaders and sales managers, and I asked the question, and I asked people to raise their hand in response to say if they're a salesperson or not. So I asked who in this room considers themselves to be a salesperson, and around about 50% of the room put their hand up. And the interesting thing is, actually, I believe that we're all in the field of sales. You know, our lives revolve around communicating, persuading, influencing, and negotiating with others. And if you look at it in that way, that's as a definition of sales, then a large part of our lives, no matter what we do, we're involved in doing that. So the interesting thing on that day was, only 50% have put their hands up. So what was the difference? Those who have put their hands up are saying that I'm good at sales. I'm good at sales, it's what I do. And the other 50% who didn't do that are saying, actually, I'm poor at sales, or it's not what I do. My role doesn't involve communicating, influencing, or negotiating. And the interesting thing here is that it's a choice. This comes back to the 80-20 rule. It's a choice. So if you see yourself as a great salesperson, then guess what? You'll become a great salesperson. But if you volunteer or opt out of seeing yourself in a certain way, then that's how you'll present yourself. So how you choose to portray yourself internally is how you will portray yourself externally, leading back to what we said yesterday about the law of correspondence. So linked to that, I want to give you 7 often overlooked characteristics of successful salespeople. I worked with hundreds and hundreds of salespeople during my time in my financial career and more since. And these 7 principles are things that stand out for me. So the first thing is ambitious. Ambitious. So as an ambitious salesperson, you have a belief that you can be the absolute best. You're capable of being the best. And to embody that belief that you can be the best at something is going to get you a lot further than it would be if you don't have that belief. And what I noticed is that the very top people always had the impression that they could go to the very top. And the reality is we all have the ability to be outstanding at something. So why not choose to believe that you could be the absolute best? And find out who the top people are in your industry or your company. What are their sales numbers? What are their earnings? You can work backwards to find out what you need to do to match those numbers and learn the skills to get there. The second thing is courage and being courageous. The 2 biggest enemies to success are fear and self-doubt. And in terms of courage, Ralph Waldo Emerson puts it in the best way I've ever heard it, and he says, if you confront the thing that you fear, then the death of fear is certain. If you confront the things you fear, then the death of fear is uncertain. So if you act in the face of your fears with courage, then soon it will become a habit. So if those things, in sales, a lot of people have to make calls. I remember there was a time where, I was learning to pick up the phone myself, and I had to break through the limitations I had for myself. The fear of just calling random people and talking about your services. It's you can understand. So I just had my colleague randomly dial the customers for me, and I just had to pick up the phone and talk. Defies rule number 7, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, in preparation. But just to pick up the phone and talk, to really build in a habit of being able to strike up a conversation at will on the telephone, and it makes a real big difference. So that process of acting courageous in front of your fears, will become a habit. Okay, so number 3, let's refer to my notes, it's committed. Committed. Successful people do not dabble. In this world now, we're presented with so many opportunities, particularly in the internet marketing world, the network marketing world. You're seeing these offers everywhere, these shiny objects, and it's really the successful people, you don't see them jumping from ship to ship. They're committed and they stay focused to making a difference in what they're doing. And The other thing about commitment is having the absolute belief that what you're doing is right. You believe in the product, you believe in the company, you believe in what you're doing, and you love what you do. And guess what? If you have that belief and you love what you do, the customer is definitely going to pick up on that. You know, you can see the difference. Those top 10%, you know, they embody, you know, they are part of the company. It runs in their blood. You know, it makes a real difference. Number 4 is professional. You know, in sales, you can, you know, how many of you had an experience where you've been sold to and it felt terrible? You know, I remember being sat at the dinner table with a group of business people, and it was a networking event and a business education event, and we were approached by a gentleman who came up to our table. We're eating our lunch, and I was eating a relatively healthy lunch. You know, for those of you who know me well, you know, I'm pretty into my health and fitness. And this guy comes up to me with his business card and the table and says that, did you know by eating this certain product, well, I can't remember what I had, it's a type of meat on my plate, you know, you're at risk of developing all of these different conditions. And he thrusts his business card in front of me, and it's, you know, he was a representative for a network marketing company that offered fruit juice supplements. You know, for those who know me, again, I'm involved in one of those companies, and I would never do that. And you know, the product was probably very good, and the message he had, he probably came from a place of heart. You know, I probably knew full well that what I was eating was probably not the best, but I was at a hotel. You know, it wasn't my standard thing. But to approach someone like that and just thrust your business card and without even introducing yourself and say what you're eating is not so good for you is not the best sales tactic. So contrast that with a consultant. Now think about a consultant and how you see a consultant. Well, most people will say they see a consultant as an expert and someone who's there to solve problems. And notice the difference between how you feel about a consultant and how you feel about that type of salesperson, that kind of pushy approach, versus that kind of professional consultation where you're having a problem of yours or a need of yours remedied by their solution or their product or their service. So being seen as professional, vitally important, and doing everything you can to go pro in your industry, massively important. Number 5, being prepared. You know, going the extra mile, going further than the unsuccessful person will go. You know, if you're meeting a client to talk about their business, you know, how much do you know about their business? You know, I've had people approach me of various other opportunities as well, and they know nothing about me. They don't make any effort to find out about what my goals and aspirations are and whether even their product could fit. It's just straight pitch. So preparation, absolutely key. Know the person you're talking to, know their background, know the company. It makes a huge difference in terms of success. Number 6, being a continuous learner. Absolutely vital. You know, if you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards. So it's really important that you're sharpening the saw, constantly refining your skills. You know, in sales, there's all kinds of things you can learn. You know, building rapport, you know, striking relationships, creating lasting deals. You know, all these types of skills, it's worth learning. You know, leadership, professional development, continuous learning is always a trait of the people that are very much at the top. They're always learning, investing their time and money into developing themselves. Number 7, the last thing, is being responsible. And by being responsible, I mean taking accountability. You know, taking full accountability for every aspect of their life and every aspect of their position, and you know, being responsible for what that brings. So what you put in is what you get out. You know, if you don't put much in, you can't expect much to get out. So taking full responsibility for the results. And you know, if you're not getting the results you want, it's actually holding your hand up and saying, you know, I'm not where I would need to be, and confronting the truth. You know, a lot of people will sweep it under the carpet and make excuses, but really the top people will always be accountable, and they will know what they're doing, and they will know whether what they're doing is getting them on track to where they want to be. So those are the 7 often unspoken traits of successful salespeople. I hope that's been useful. If you have enjoyed what I've talked about today, I would love to see some comments on the blog or on Facebook or on Twitter. So please do share if you think that this could be useful for other people as well. It's another wonderful day out there. Have an outstanding day. Live without limits. Ciao.